something down there. Salah Salah's in there and scores. Mo Salah will have had his third touch. Equalises. 2-1 to Liverpool. Salah and Mane.
Started by Correa. And Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid have gone in front here, maybe against the run of play. Not that they care much. It was Vieto. Oh, what a hit that is! Ernie Smith Rowe. One for the future, but seizing his moment, and it's 1-1. Spurs go in front. It's a tapping for Llorente, and how it's turned around here.
Time for fans to have an idea of what their favorite clubs are up to. Managers what their players are made up of. Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund amongst others will be in action this weekend, and we discuss how clubs are shaping up ahead of the season. FIFA unveiled its top 10 nominees for the Best Player and Coach Award. The list for the Players Award sharply divided fans who are a party to decide the ultimate winner, because this man's name was omitted.
The cake with a second goal here. There is a big chance. It's two. It's two. Brazil are on their way now. And Neymar. And those late goals from Philippe Coutinho and from Neymar have carried Brazil clear into a 2-0 win.
Neymar going into around the D. Will try to look for a shot. Lays up beautifully to William. William gets into the penalty box. William tries a shot. Goes across everybody. And Neymar clears the ball into the net. Neymar with yet another goal in this competition. Rising numbers, 57 for the Brazilian national team. With a hand on his lips. Keep quiet, but it's only a goal. And Brazilian delight in Samara. The Samba boys are off on the way.
Neymar with 3 titles in France, finishing as the best player in France with 19 goals from 20 appearances and leading Brazil to the quarterfinals of the Russia 2018 World Cup. Didn't make the top 10. We tried to assess the circumstances and attempt justifying FIFA's key omission. Also coming up,
I think they have been fantastic since I arrived here, and I will promise that we will bring the 3 points back. We have done everything possible, including changing the captaincies, to bring the 3 points back. So please support us, even though that many of our supporters won't be able to travel there. But as you are supporting, as demanding the result, our players push themselves to the best, and we will bring the 3 points back.
Ghana's sole representative in the CAF Confederations Cup will be in action for a chance to qualify into the money zone. Adriana Stars will be up against AS Vita. We look ahead to all key games of the CAF Champions League and the Confederations Cup. Head to our Facebook page, joy/99.7, our WhatsApp line 0244340437, or tweet at us at JoySportsGH to react to our question of the day. Time to talk about what the world is talking about in the world of sports. Hello from me, George Addo Jr., and welcome to Preview Friday.
Thank you very much for staying with us. You're live on Joy 99.7 FM. And you know what? Quickly get onto our WhatsApp number and send us your messages. 0244-340437. I'm sure we'll rattle a few cages this afternoon here. We're asking you the question about Neymar and whether you think he's been unfairly dealt with. He wasn't part of FIFA's top 10 for the Best Player Award. We'll get into all of that here on the show. We know as well from the one to come, Red Bulls, Daniel Ricciardo, Pit Ferrari, Sebastian Vettel in the first practice of the Hungarian Grand Prix. There's a lot to look forward to that. In the Tour de France, stage 19 has actually gotten underway, and we know Great Britain's Geraint Thomas leads. We've got Tom Dumoulin second, 1 minute and 59 seconds. So here's a big one. Chris Froome is third with 32 seconds further back, and we'll be looking towards all of that here on the show. But we start on the continent, and we know Adriana Stars are confident of snatching all 3 points in their return CAF Confederations Cup game with AS Vita Club on Sunday. The Doma side, you remember, had actually won the first leg. They managed to win that by 2-1 in Doma, and are full of confidence going into the game, which they know a win will definitely push them top of the table, depending on what happens between Raja Casablanca and ASEC Mimosa. Selwyn Saki has been putting together exactly what we should expect in the CAF Confederations Cup games and the CAF Champions League.
The Confederation of African Football's Champions League is midway through the group stage. The 16 clubs competing in this season's tournament have all played 3 matches. The next group stage match day will take place on July 27th and 28th. Tunisia's Esperance de Tunis have set a pace in Group A. The side has collected 7 points from a possible 9. Manager Khalid Ben Yahya has led his club to 2 wins and a draw. The side has tallied a 4-goal difference. KCCA have secured just 3 points thus far, but progressions to the quarterfinals can still happen. The team's attack must score more goals for that to happen. Esperance won the last meeting between the clubs, which was 3-2. Egypt's Al Ahly have struggled in Group A. The side has collected just 4 points thus far. 3 of those points came in a 3-0 thumping of Township Rollers. Patrice Cacheron's team is far stronger than Township despite goals being hard to come by. The Egyptian club should get on track with the win against Township and put pressure on Esperance at the top of Group A. Both clubs are in desperate need of a win, and to have any hope of progressing from Group B, Setif sit third on 3 points with their only win coming against Difa El Jadidi. Setif controlled much of the previous match, and an own goal was Difa's only way to get onto the score sheet. TP Mazembe last won the Champions League in 2015, and they are making a bid to do it all over again. Mijalo Kosimov has his side in a good form as Mazembe are perfect 9 points from 9 in the group stage. Mazembe's Ben Malongo is the second leading scorer in the competition with 6 goals. MC Alger will test the Congolese side on match day 4. Mazembe won with an 88-minute goal in the previous fixture. AS Togopots downed Mamelodi Sundowns in their last meeting 1-0. Now the two sides will meet in Pretoria and both are in need of all 3 points. Sundowns are yet to win the Champions League group stage and have a 1-goal difference. AS Togopots down Mamelodi Sundowns in their last meeting winning 1-0. Now the two sides will meet in Pretoria and are both in need of all 3 points. Sundowns are yet to win in the Champions League group stage and have -1 goal difference. AS having been great in front of goal, recording just 2 strikes and a -3 goal difference. Sundowns may finally get their first win of the competition. Wydad Casablanca and Horoya are locked on 5 points apiece in Group C. Wydad are the reigning CAF champions winners and the club looked good value to win it again. The last fixture between the two sides ended 1-1 in Guinea. At home, Wydad should grab all 3 points according to Caliente. Juan de Augusto and Zesco United played out on a ball 0-0 draw on match day 3. Neither side has found the back of the net regularly. Both claim -1 goal differences and their meeting on July 7th won't be much better than the last. Draw results are usually the best bet to place, the odds are higher. Group D leaders Etoile du Sahel travel to Swaziland to battle Mbambani Swallows on match day 4. Etoile have collected 7 of 9 points while scoring 6 goals and conceding 2. Mbambani sits second in group despite tallying a -2 goal difference. Etoile thumped Mbambani 3-0 last time around. A similar result should occur with Etoile playing this fixture at home.
Selwyn Saki with what to expect on the continent in the CAF Champions League and CAF Confederations Cup. We look forward to that. Of course, we have to talk about the transfers, and on the show we always give you an idea of what has happened during the week. Just some moments ago, we know that Alexander Golovin has moved from CSK Moscow to AS Monaco. A bit of disappointment now for Chelsea fans who were hoping that he was going to somehow find his way at the Stamford Bridge. He moved in the region of about 30 million euros. That's done. What else is done? Rico Ampofo has been putting together a wrap of what's been happening so far, the transfer window.
Atletico Madrid defender Johnny signs for Wolves on a season-long loan. The versatile player has moved to Atletico, but was not guaranteed first-team football at the Wanda Metropolitano. Brighton and Hove Albion smashed their transfer record yet again by signing Alireza Jahanbakhsh from AZ Alkmaar. The Iran international featured in all 3 group games for his country at the 2018 World Cup. Jahanbakhsh joins on a 5-year deal and becomes the Seagulls' 8th summer signing after an undisclosed fee was agreed with the Eredivisie club. Fulham have signed Germany international midfielder André Schürrle on loan from Borussia Dortmund, the club announced on Wednesday. The 27-year-old will join the Craven Cottage club for 2 seasons. The former Chelsea man spent the past 2 campaigns at Dortmund after spending a year at Wolfsburg. Chelsea have signed former England goalkeeper Rob Green on a year contract. Green, who is 38 years old, joins the Blues after leaving Huddersfield Town at the end of last season, and Chelsea's statement clearly explains that the keeper will provide backup to Thibaut Courtois and Willy Caballero. Everton have completed the signing of 21-year-old Richarlison. He will reunite with Marco Silva, who brought the Brazilian forward to Vicarage Road while Watford manager this time last year. Atletico Madrid have completed the signing of Sporting's Gelson Martins ahead of the 2018-2019 season. The Portuguese winger has agreed a 5-year deal with the Los Rojiblancos after leaving Portugal amid a complicated situation. Vancouver Whitecaps Alphonso Davies joins Bayern Munich for a record $22 million transfer. The Bundesliga powerhouse says the 17-year-old Ghana-born Davies, who has already made 8 appearances for Canada, will join Bayern Munich on the January 1st, 2019, and that his contract will run through June 2023. João Moutinho has completed a £5 million move to Wolverhampton Wanderers from Monaco. The Portugal midfielder has signed a 2-year deal to join Nuno Espirito Santo's side before they begin their Premier League campaign next month. Stoke City have confirmed the signing of Huddersfield Town winger Tom Ince. The 26-year-old joined the relegated Premier League side in an initial £10 million deal, which could rise to $12 million in add-ons. He has signed a 4-year deal with the Porters. Huddersfield have announced the signing of Monaco striker Adama Diakabe. The Frenchman has signed a 3-year deal with the option of an extra year and joins for an undisclosed fee. The 22-year-old striker will link up with former Monaco teammate Terence Kongolo at the John Smith Stadium. FC Barcelona confirmed the signing of Bordeaux winger Malcolm in a £37 million deal. The Brazilian seems set to join AS Roma, but has now signed a 5-year deal with the Catalan Giants. Brighton completed £2.8 million signing of a South African international star Percy Tau from Mamelodi Sundowns. The 24-year-old striker has agreed a 4-year deal and will be loaned out ahead of next season. He has won the South African title 3 times, twice with Sundowns in 2014 and 2018, and with Spurs in 2016. He's also won the African Champions League with Spurs and the South American Super Cup with Sundowns in 2017. Bournemouth signed Diego Rico on a 4-year deal from Leganes. The Spanish centre-half modelled the Cherries' new third kit after completing the signing. The former Leganes defender joins the Cherries for an undisclosed fee and admitted he was truly excited to be arriving on the South Coast. Newcastle have signed Fabian Schär from Deportivo La Coruña on a 3-year deal. The Swiss defender completed his medical with the Premier League side on Wednesday after the Magpies activated a £3 million release clause in his contract. Stade Rennais defender Joris Gagnon has been signed by Sevilla for €15 million. Debuting with the Ligue 1 side in January 2016, the player once chose to represent Ivory Coast but was most recently involved in the France Under-21 side, having made 36 appearances last season for his club. Confirmed on Thursday morning, Sevilla have handed a 5-year contract to Gagnon to follow Rocky Mesa, Thomas Vaklik, Ibrahim Mamadou and Sergi Gomez into the Estadio Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan.
Enrico Ampofo there with the deals that have been done this week in the transfer market. And remember, you can quickly get onto our Facebook page, Joy/99.7. We've got a question there for you. Do you think Neymar, has been unfairly dealt with? He wasn't part of FIFA's top 10 nominees for the Best Player Award. Well, now time to find out how these clubs are getting in pre-season. I'm sure you've watched your favorite EPL clubs or your favorite European clubs do what they know how to do best. There's more coming up. Moses Yeboah has been keeping an eye on exactly what these clubs are up to this weekend.
Unai Emery's men take on the Ligue 1 champions Paris Saint-Germain in their next game in the International Champions Cup as they continue to tour and train in Singapore. The Gunners are gearing up for their first season with a new manager for the first time since Arsene Wenger's 22-year tenure came to an end in the summer. Chelsea prepared to face the Italian giant Inter Milan with their new boss Maurizio Sarri already having knowledge of the opponent from his time in Serie A. Sarri has managed in Italy since 1996 and he will carry his wealth of experience into his first role abroad as Chelsea prepare for the Premier League. Liverpool will face Premier League opposition for the second time in pre-season when they take on Manchester United on Saturday. Jurgen Klopp's side will be hoping to end their tour of the USA on a high before heading to France to continue their pre-season preparations, and United will also be looking for their second win after beating AC Milan. At the Red Bull Arena, Cristiano Ronaldo's Juventus face Portuguese side Benfica, with Newcastle United squaring up to Porto. Bayern Munich will reunite with their former coach Pep Guardiola when the Bavarians take on Manchester City at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens on Saturday. And one of soccer's biggest and most iconic clubs comes up against an emerging European force. It's FC Barcelona against Tottenham Hotspur on Sunday.
So good games to look forward to there. And back from Russia, back into the thick of the job again is John Bennett. He had a lovely chat with me there. And we're looking forward to the games and having quite an interesting chat there on the Joy Sports BBC two-way series. We go for that, and when we come back, our discussion will begin here in the studio.
Thanks, John. Big welcome from Russia and back on the locker room on Joy 99.7 FM. We need to start then with the FIFA nominees for the Men's Top Award. You saw these players in action. Just how did Neymar miss out?
Well, I think if Neymar got to the last four, I think he would have been on that list. But we didn't. We saw glimpses, didn't we, of Neymar? Remember, he was returning from injury, wasn't he? That injury sustained playing for PSG. So it was always going to be a difficult World Cup for him. I saw a couple of Brazil games. He was growing as the tournament went on. And I think if Brazil had got to the latter stages, got to the semi-final, the final, we would have seen the real Neymar. But sadly, we didn't, and I don't think he actually deserves to be on this list, on this FIFA list. Interesting list, isn't it? A lot of France players on there, as you'd expect. All the usual suspects are on there. If I had to pick a winner, a very difficult one. I do like Raphael Varane. I don't think he will win, but perhaps he should be considered when you think about the fact that he's won the Champions League and the World Cup as well. I thought he was outstanding in Russia. But Luka Modric probably just about wins out because he inspired that team to the final, and Croatia getting to the final is a wonderful achievement. Probably we expected France to get to the final. We didn't expect Croatia to get to the final. So I will go for Luka Modric.
And who is likely to win the FIFA Coach of the Year award? Very tricky. Most fans down here have reduced this to the World Cup winning coach Didier Deschamps and three-time winning Champions League coach Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah, I honestly think that winning the World Cup should probably win out. Didier Deschamps did a wonderful job. I think he's actually been underrated, George. I don't know what you think about this, but I think what Didier Deschamps has done has been underrated because everyone was talking about the quality of the squad. Quality of the squad doesn't always add up to winning trophies. You have to manage the team on and off the pitch, and I think he did that brilliantly. He brought the team together. The players absolutely love him, and that's despite some problems off the pitch when you think about Karim Benzema being excluded for off-the-field reasons, when you think about some problems he had in picking the squad as well. So I think tactically he got it right. They didn't play sparkling football, but defensively they were outstanding. And Didier Deschamps winning the World Cup, I think that should mean that he is FIFA Coach of the Year. But again, Zinedine Zidane, what an outstanding job he did, and I'm sure he will be France boss at some point in the near future.
John, how much of pressure will be on EPL clubs after 9th August, knowing the other leagues can play?
Yeah, I think there will be pressure, but it could also help them as well, because you look at some teams and they're desperate to get rid of players. You know that, George, I'm a Leicester City fan, and I think that there's several players in that squad, like Soleimani, like Musa, that they would like to get out of the club so they can ease the pressure on the wage bill. So they might not be able to get them out by August the 9th, but knowing there are a few weeks after that they can sell them to European teams, I think could help. But yeah, a lot of pressure building up. The likes of Manchester United need new players. Manchester City haven't had a lot of activity. Tottenham haven't had a lot of activity as well. So the next, just over 10 days is going to be it's going to be interesting, isn't it? In the next 2 weeks, there's going to be a huge amount of activity. And I think that transfer deadline day for English clubs on August the 9th will be very busy.
John, Barcelona's in the news for the Malcolm A.S. Roma soap opera. I need to hear from you on that, but do you sense anxiety in the camp of the Spanish giants, who seem to be chief transfer predators at the moment?
Yeah, interesting one that they just late on went for Malcolm. That doesn't suggest good planning, does it, from Barcelona? And you wonder about Spain this year. Real Madrid have sold some big players like Cristiano Ronaldo and haven't made big signings. They brought in a couple of lesser-known names. And time is running out, isn't it, to make that big move? Are they going to go for Eden Hazard? Are they going to go for Thibaut Courtois? As for Barcelona, they're going to sign a big name as well. Of course, they missed out on Antoine Griezmann. So bringing in Malcolm, I don't think is a signing to get the Barcelona fans off their feet. I think they've got similar players to Malcolm, the likes of Ousmane Dembele. So it doesn't scream confidence in the recruitment process to me. Then again, they will be delighted to have got their man when he looks set, Malcolm, to join Roma.
Any imminent deals in the transfer market to keep our eyes on this weekend, John?
Well, all the talk here in England is about Harry Maguire and the will he, won't he join Manchester United. Leicester City are determined not to let him go. Remember, they only signed him a year ago for £17 million. Manchester United now being linked with a £65 million move. And I don't think Harry Maguire is the type of player to agitate for a move like Riyad Mahrez did. So I think Leicester City will do all they can not to sell Harry Maguire. I think they'll close the door on that deal, and they'll probably offer him a new deal as well. It's all about whether Harry Maguire pushes for the move. I can't see him doing it in the same way as Riyad Mahrez. So that is the big deal that everyone is looking at the moment. But as I mentioned, you've got the big clubs still looking for new players. I think Liverpool's business is done, but Manchester United, Manchester City, Tottenham and Chelsea, they're still looking, aren't they? They're still looking for one or two big players.
Finally, let's talk pre-season. What notes have you gathered so far on the top 6 EPL clubs on their travels?
It's very difficult to read too much into pre-season, particularly this year because it's post-World Cup. A lot of players are missing. Manchester United, we know that Jose Mourinho has moaned about that, the fact they're missing players. Arsenal haven't been affected as much, and I've been fairly impressed with what I've seen from them in pre-season. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang looks on fire already. I think he's going to have a massive season, but very difficult to read too much into it until the World Cup players come back. And I think there will be a World Cup hangover as well going into the first few weeks of the season. I think that's inevitable. We'll see one or two shock results.
Live on radio, live online. This is The Locker Room with George Addo Jr.
All right, so get onto our Facebook page. I can see some of your messages reacting to our question of the day. Has Neymar been unfairly treated? Well, we've got 3 years saying that, look, what did Neymar do to merit nomination in the FIFA Best Men's Player of the Year, category award? Absolutely nothing relevant compared to those in the nomination list. Sly Labi Adi? Yes, FIFA was not sure how he'll react. Should he not be crowned ultimately, like the way he embellishes fouls committed against him on the field of play? This uncertainty was what informed FIFA to drop him from the list. But you know what? It really seems to annoy a lot of people, and I think when they think about the fact that Neymar is such a good player, both for Paris Saint-Germain and when playing for his national team, and suffocating amount of pressure after winning 3 titles in France, obviously Ligue 1 player of the season, despite injury, leading the Brazilian national team as well to the quarterfinals at the World Cup, really, and end of the year in review. So far as FIFA is concerned, Neymar's can't feel they have somehow been unfairly treated.
Puts it in the area, and then the follow-up is from Neymar, who cannot miss. Neymar with the finish.
I think he has a great opportunity to win this award. It's World Cup time, and he's still alive, and I think he got a chance, but he needs to win the World Cup with Brazil.
It's deep inside the Brazilian half, but there is no more time. Brazil 1, Belgium 2.
And the truth is, Neymar's not on that list because lately he hasn't done anything for MD. He was okay in Liga against weak opposition most weeks. Didn't do much in the Champions League, obviously got injured. And then his big return makes a mess of it, acting like a clown. So why should a clown be on the top 10?
Neymar still going onto the right foot, scores this time, 4-0, and Neymar does have his goal after all.
Neymar, clever back heel into the area, Brazil score! Neymar! And the occasion is illuminated.
Is it fair or not fair? Let's hear from you on our WhatsApp line as well. Joining me in the studio to do the analysis, Riku Ampofo. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing extremely well.
Extremely well, that's exactly. Raymond Yamada joins you as well. Raymond, what's up?
I'm doing great, George.
You're good. There's Formula 1 talk to come for you later on the show. But guys, let's talk about Neymar. So I would start with you, Riku Ampofo, and I can see for most of you who haven't really paid attention to this, remember that this was something FIFA did, and they took into consideration the year under review, and of course club action versus country action is very important. So Rick Wamba will be very good for you to take us through exactly what Neymar had or whatever he did during the year or the season or the time under review.
Okay, so just to be specific, the year under review is everything between 3rd of July 2017 to the 15th of July 2018.
3rd of July 2017. Okay, good.
Yeah, so we all know last year July, Neymar transferred to PSG for a world record fee.
Yeah.
But then at the beginning of July, he started out his season with Barcelona, and he played all 3 matches in their International Champions Cup And you remember in their first match, he was extremely brilliant. They won that game by 2-0. His second goal caused some traction in the media, where he went past 5 Juventus players and he scored a winner. So they won that game 2-0. And then came their second match, where they met Manchester United. Neymar once again scored the only goal in that game, where he had a beautiful pirouette. Valencia was on the floor, and he placed the ball past De Gea. But then you look at their last match, and that was in Miami against Real Madrid, and they won that game by 3-2, and Neymar had 2 assists in the game. So he was definitely crucial in Barcelona's pre-season. But that was just the tip of the iceberg for what's to come in the season. Now he joined Paris Saint-Germain in August, and he didn't get to make his debut up until late August due to some issues. But then he started off the match brilliantly, and in his first game he had a goal and assist, and I can go on and on and on. But then throughout August till February, he was extremely sensational. Up until his injury, Neymar was up there. He was top 3 players for me, because he had 19 goals in 20 games just in the Ligue A. And in these games he had 14 assists. But then it's a whole year under review, so let's consider his games for Brazil and his games for PSG. And you look at the statistics there, and he had 32 goals and 18 assists in 40 appearances. So that's creating 60 goals in 40 appearances. You can't tell me a player doing that doesn't deserve to be in the top 10. But then, he went on an injury, and then he came back. And when he came back, he scored the first goal for Croatia, for Brazil against Croatia in that friendly. He scored in the next game again in Austria. And people say that, Neymar had a really bad World Cup. But one thing I have is that, look, don't let the antics surrounding Neymar cloud your judgment of him as a player. Because you look at the World Cup, and he contributed to 50% of Brazil's goals. He scored 2 goals and 2 assists. And I think he was brilliant. And it was rather unlucky that they went out to the World Cup. And I think it's sad that you're basing the whole year on the fact that he just didn't make a semi-final, which was 1 match away.
Okay, so hold on, we'll come to you on that. We're just clearing it out right now. So for those of you who are joining us in this debate, that you really have an opportunity once again to reflect on what Neymar did in the season and the year under review. That's good. Raymond, it's good to really talk about this right now. Obviously, Riku is on that tangent that Neymar has been unfairly dealt with, and I'm looking at the squad now there, because you look at players like Eden Hazard, like Harry Kane, like Mohamed Salah, seem to have had a bit of a one-sided, some did well in the club football, they didn't do well in the World Cup and all. What's your take on Neymar, first of all, missing out on that?
Well, George, I think that it's absolutely fair that Neymar is omitted from this list. You look at the end of the season, the season that just went by. We all concluded that Ronaldo, Messi, and Mohamed Salah were the standout performers last season.
How did we conclude that?
No, the numbers. We all saw Mohamed Salah hit over 40 goals. We also, absolutely. But he got his team to the Champions League finals. He was very influential in that team. He managed to get Egypt to the World Cup. We all spoke about how brilliant this player was last season. Again, we spoke about Cristiano Ronaldo. We all talk about his Champions League win, his goals in the Champions League. We speak about a player like Lionel Messi, his dominance in the Spanish league. We all saw these players come to the fore, and anybody in this world, there was even a time that everybody said that Mohamed Salah was going to break that duopoly of Ronaldo and Messi. So without doubt, these 3 players were definitely going to be on that list. Now you look at the other 7 players.
Just because of their club performances, you say George, that's a World Cup here.
George, without the World Cup, these players definitely would have ended up on the list. And you look at their performance at the World Cup, but all 3 players did not have a very good World Cup, but they are still there because of how well they performed for their club sides in the course of the season. Again, you look at the 7 players that are left, and then you speak about what they did at the World Cup. Definitely the World Cup year, you would want to talk about the performance of players at the World Cup before coming up with a list like this. Each and every player on that list, the 7 remaining, featured in the semi-finals of the World Cup. Harry Kane was in there, Eden Hazard was in there, Griezmann was in there, Mbappe was in there. All these players performed for their teams in the semi-finals of the World Cup. That automatically rules out Neymar. Again, you look at Neymar in the French league. Neymar, he did very well in the French league, but how many goals did he score? He was not even the top scorer in the French league.
For you. We have 19 goals. 19 goals in 20 appearances. George, in 20 appearances.
George, Cavani didn't play the full season. Cavani didn't play all 38 matches, but he managed to get a decent number of goals in there, 28 goals. We also saw Memphis Depay. When did Memphis Depay join that club? But Memphis Depay scored as many as 19 goals. How many matches did he play? So for me, even in the French league, I wouldn't even say that Neymar was the best player.
It doesn't matter to you that he was adjudged the best.
There was even Florent Thauvin, who was in there. He scored as many as 22 goals, managed 11 assists. These were quality players in the French league. And George, let's not forget one thing. In the French league, if you're the best player in the French league, it doesn't guarantee you a place on this list. I remember when Eden Hazard in 2010-2011 won the best player in France. He won the title with Lille Metropole. Again, he won the Coupe de France. Where did I get Eden Hazard? And so the performance really had to boil down to what he did at the World Cup. He managed to get his team to the quarterfinals. He could not perform at the level that everybody was expecting him to perform, and that's why Neymar should not be part of this list.
I'm sure, Rico, you're scratching your head then if you want to do the analysis of, like Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah made the Champions League final.
Well
yes, and World Cup.
Before I get into that, you know, he was adjudged Ligue 1's best player ahead of the young player of the time. That's Mbappe. That's just for a heads up. But then my problem with Raymond's argument is that if you're basing everything on the World Cup, we have an award called the Golden Ball for the best player of the World Cup. This is a whole year under review. You can't base your judgment on just 2 months of football. I think that's unfair to start with. But then that aside, let's look at Mo Salah. Now, Mo Salah won absolutely no trophy. Absolutely no trophy. His only achievement was being the top scorer for Liverpool and getting to a final. Neymar,
the Champions League final.
Yeah, the Champions League final. And that means that his goals really had no weight and no influence. So with no trophy, and Egypt got knocked out in the group stages, in a group that I think they should have qualified. Yeah, you can also say he was injured, but Neymar did better than Salah in the World Cup, and he won more trophies in league football. But I think, yeah, Salah is in a very popular league, and he has broken all the records, so yeah, absolutely, he would get in there. But is that really fair? Did he really have a better season than Neymar? Absolutely. That's questionable. You look at Harry Kane. Harry Kane wasn't even top scorer in England. He didn't win in England with Spurs. He didn't win any trophy with Spurs. He had a not so bad World Cup. He ended up as top scorer. But what exactly did he achieve? England were fourth. Spurs did nothing in the season that just ended. So it's all hanging in there. You look at Eden Hazard and he just won the FA Cup and covered. Chelsea finished sixth. It was an extremely poor season by Eden Hazard. He scored just 17 goals, and he hides an FA Cup victory and finishes third. And all of a sudden, we seem to forget what happened all over the years. You may argue that the Liga is a relatively weaker league, but then Neymar had 6 goals in 6 appearances in the Champions League when he was fit, and 3 assists. And unfortunately, they got knocked out by Real Madrid, who are the virtual champions. I think if Real Madrid met any other team, they would have gone out. PSG proved their quality. Neymar proved his quality even on the European ground. And definitely, he should be.
I'll come back to you on whether you think that there's a perception we find against it. But he's made some interesting points here now, because the analysis of Eden Hazard, yes, in the semi-final of the World Cup, club football, not exactly good finish sit, and he makes the point there. Eden Hazard wins the FA Cup. Neymar wins more titles. Neymar scores more goals even though he's injured, and there's a slight so there's a bit of you understand, like
George. We look at the league he's playing in. He's playing in the French League 1. This is a PSG side. This is a PSG side that is star-studded. No team in France can compete with this PSG team.
Monaco is defending champions.
The Monaco team. Hold on. The Monaco team that were defending champions. Look at the quality of players they had in there. They had the likes of Bakayoko, Mbappe. These were top players, top-notch players playing for them at the time. They sold all those players, and we could actually see Monaco not being able to compete with PSG. You look at Neymar and that team. What is the weight of the French League 1? We've seen lots of players win the French League 1. It's not one of the trophies you consider as the yardstick for you to be on the top list of best players in the world. PSG, for me, we're definitely going to win it, even without kicking a ball. Next season, we can all conclude that PSG.
Are you sure about that?
Again. But George,
that's not a gimmick.
I still think that. Look, if you take a player like Eden Hazard, he was the key cog in that Chelsea team. We also Chelsea.
We did miserable.
They were very miserable. But Eden Hazard did carry that team. We all saw him, win the FA Cup for Chelsea single-handedly. And George, the difference here is that one player show responsibility, and when the going had actually been tough for a team like Chelsea in that FA Cup final, we all saw how Eden Hazard carried the team on his shoulders. We all saw how he managed to win that game for them. Again at the World Cup, we all saw how Eden Hazard matched this Belgian team to victory. How they consistently kept winning matches. Eden Hazard was a key cog in that team, and you won't take anything away from him. George, crucially at this stage, when we have the World Cup here, when we have the World Cup being played in the same year, we have to do the FIFA best. The World Cup matters most. And the difference really,
the World Cup matters most. Yes, that what happens to Hazard.
Hazard performed at the World Cup. George, on the back of the records he broke in England, on the back of the records he broke in Europe.
The World Cup didn't matter again.
The World Cup didn't matter for a player like Mohamed Salah.
Guys, let me address it.
Really,
okay,
Ronaldo was in there.
I think Raymond.
Ronaldo was in there. Messi was in there. Salah was in there.
But
Those were the three top players.
Yes, but
Neymar didn't do better than all three players.
In the World Cup, he did better than all three players.
In the league, in their respective leagues, he didn't do better than all those three players.
Let me push this one to you. Maybe there's a problem here. Do you think there's a confusion in the mind of FIFA or those who choose the top 10 players in a World Cup year? Are they confused?
Look, George, I'm going to be very honest with you. And you know, FIFA selects a panel to choose these nominees. And I wouldn't lie to you. If I was Samuel Eto'o or an African, I would love to reward Mohamed Salah for his effort. I think he did well. So I would choose Mohamed Salah. And that may be at Neymar's expense. If I was English, I would choose Harry Kane. He stood out. If I was Brazilian, I would choose Neymar.
Are you sure it's down to just who's coming from?
They are objective people, but I believe that we are humans and we naturally love I don't know. We naturally love people. We naturally hate people. The media has made a lot of people hate Neymar, especially this World Cup. You know, they just highlighted his play acting and forgot about all that he did. You know, he created 23 chances, George. That was just one of Trippier, who was top. So his World Cup really wasn't bad. But yeah, the media has the power to make it look so bad.
I'm coming to you on that one, but I can activate my phone lines now on 0302216541. In the next 5 minutes, we can talk right now about whether you think Neymar was unfairly treated or has been unfairly treated. You know, when it comes to regards to the 10 top players choosing for the FIFA's best player, I mean men's best player. That's one for us to go through. Do you think that in the World Cup year there's a lot of confusion about how to, you know, choose the players, and they're not too sure where to go? Because on one line it looks like some are getting the credit for having a very good World Cup, others are getting the credit for having a very good club life.
George, almost every player on that list had a very good season, you know, for their club sides. You talk about Griezmann, you talk about the likes of Mbappe. Every single player
Mbappe is in the same branch.
The tiebreaker crucially was supposed to be the World Cup. And certain players overachieved in the leagues. Certain players broke records. Certain players set big records in their leagues. A player like Mohamed Salah, he set records in the English Premier League. So for me, that definitely was going to put him on the top of the list. But you look at Neymar. This is a player who came to the World Cup. George, what did he really do at the World Cup? 2 goals, 1 assist.
Two goals, 1 assist. What did Mohamed Salah do in the World Cup? We saw him change hairstyles more than the number of goals he scored at this World Cup. He kept I have my first caller. Let me go quickly. Let me go now to my first caller. And on the line is Gabriel from Achimota. That's it. Gabriel, how are you doing this afternoon?
Hi, John. I'm fantastic.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. What do you think then?
Yeah. I think Neymar is where he needs to be. I mean, it's quite unfortunate. I think we all can testify what Neymar can do. And when it comes to his footwork and everything, I mean, the guy is a fantastic player. But this is the thing, his theatrics are kind of crazy. And this cannot actually...
But the antics are not stats. That's the problem.
Put you in the same league with this kind of people. I mean, when you talk about Hazard or something, we know that when you take Messi and Ronaldo out, the next comparison you are having is Neymar and Hazard. Okay, but this is the unfortunate thing. Now Neymar is having a battle on his hand that Kylian Mbappe is right now the star boy. And right now, you know what he's doing? He's having a KM7. If you can check, John.
Yeah.
He's now having the guy is very, very smart.
I think you've made your point.
He's going to take Ronaldo and everybody out. And that's what the problem is.
Okay.
Now, before he actually do that, he can actually overcome Kylian Mbappe. His time is over, and I think that is quite unfortunate. He needs to wait 4 years, like he's 30 years before he can walk up and make name for himself.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's do some more of your calls now. 0302216541. Yes, in a flash, we have to really do this quickly. I give you your chance, Raymond. Oh, okay. I have Yaro from Nkoko. Let me talk to Yaro. Yaro, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, George Jr.
Yeah. How are you? Good. You are good, Yaro. Okay, we lost Yaro. Raymond Yamado.
George, this is a French league where we've seen a player like Memphis Depay flop at Manchester United, only for him to get into the French league and set all sorts of records in there. We've seen Florent Thauvin flop at a club like Newcastle, but he scored a lot of goals in the French League One. Clearly, Neymar has gone off the boil a bit. Neymar, by virtue of the fact that he moved from Barcelona to PSG, has actually gone off the pace. He certainly was very close to Ronaldo. He was very close to Messi when he was playing in Barcelona. But once he made that move,
are you sure?
He lost a bit. He lost a lot of points.
I mean,
Neymar really looks like a player who's not mature. That's what he's actually shown. That's what he's shown
541
for PSG. And he's no longer in the category.
Anyway, Jonas is calling me from Tamale. Jonas, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes.
I'm fine.
Let's hear from you. What do you think?
I think Neymar is just at the right place that he is right now. I think he didn't deserve to
be in there, right?
The list, and I think it's good that those who are making the selection, they've not selected the guy. It will make him work hard next season and forget of those, antics that he's been doing in the field of play.
Okay.
I think if he was still in Barcelona right now, he would have been part, because Messi would have helped him to become one of the best players during the last year or last season. But going to PSG, it has spoiled the guy's football, and I don't think he's deserved to be there. Look at what he was doing at the World Cup. Your team wants to win the cup, and you are there playing.
You think he was playing? Okay, anyway.
So I think
you have made your point, yeah.
Where he is right now.
Right, thank you very much. We've got Yaro back on the line. Yaro, thank you very much for joining me. Now, Yaro, tell me, what do you think?
Oh, Jajado, Charlie, in terms of the organization, those who are on the FIFA board to select the press, they didn't take fair to Neymar at all. Because compare after the season, Neymar is on top than Kevin De Bruyne. And tell me, a player who has already won a best player award for French League, and at the same time, when he came to World Cup, at the quarterfinals, Belgium beat them 2-1. But in terms of one of your opponents was saying that in terms of hairstyle doesn't matter. But just consider it's a player who has already dribbled on the foot than anyone who went to final.
Yeah.
In terms of shooting out crazy.
That's right.
It's perfect. So you guys shouldn't judge on something and say Mbappe or something else. The player doesn't. He just play about almost. He got about almost 19 goals in
20 appearances.
So what criteria
are they using?
That Neymar shouldn't deserve to be.
That's right.
1 to 10.
That's
Neymar
right.
deserve to be in.
You made your point.
Stop that partiality and stop that Hazard and then
Yes.
Hazard win for Chelsea.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Let me take the final caller. It's Kwame calling us from Shaman. Kwame, how are you doing?
I'm very good.
Okay, let's go. Let's go in the next 30 seconds.
Yes, for me, I think they've never been fair to Neymar. Yes, Neymar should have been on the list. 30 goals, 19 assists for PSG before he got injured. So for me, he should have been on the list. His individual brilliance last season before he got injured, that one alone should have shot him on the list.
All right. Thank you very much. That's it for our phone calls. Your final words in 10 seconds. Oreku Ampofo. 5 seconds gone.
It's not fair, but I think it's acceptable. In 2014, Bill just had a good use, and in 2015, a goal in the final in the Champions League, and he was in the top 3 best players in Europe. So I think it's not fair, but it's acceptable. The 10 players themselves are really not that bad, and each person has a reason to be there. So I'm pretty sure that I'm confident that Neymar was 11th. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. We keep our eyes on Tour de France and what's happening, of course, on the what's happening going to be happening in CAF. But of course, we have to talk about Formula 1 quickly with you, Raymond. And I think the German Grand Prix was interesting with the way he started, where he found himself Lewis Hamilton in the end and getting to win that. But do you have a sense that Mercedes are over-experimenting with what they have?
Well, I think Mercedes have ridden their luck in this year's, championship, because really you saw what happened to Lewis Hamilton, last weekend in Germany, and you could actually tell that he was almost out of that race. If Sebastian Vettel hadn't crashed, maybe we would have seen a different winner in that race. But I still think that Mercedes are really experimenting. They are riding their luck in this year's competition.
And they're overdoing this.
Yeah, they're overdoing it.
Issues with hydraulics, issues with tires, issues with everything, and uncomfortable surfaces, if you ask me.
Yeah, George, every team does that, but I think Mercedes' mistakes are really glaring.
I think Ferrari were doing more of that.
Absolutely, they also
tried
their exhaust last season in Germany. They also tried a new, system. But I still think that Mercedes are really making lots of mistakes, and that's what seems to be affecting them. On the Hungary race, I think that Red Bull will definitely come into this, because this is where, you know, the Hungarian circuit is one of those circuits that, you know, relies on braking, handling, traction rather than speed. Ferrari have a lot of speed, Mercedes also have a lot of speed, but this is where, you know, the experience of, you know, the chassis of this, you know, Red Bull car will definitely come to play here. They did the same thing in Monaco. Monaco was a very tricky circuit. They were able to, you know, control the car. They handled it very well. The traction of the car was very solid on the track. So definitely this is where you expect Red Bull to come in there. So Daniel Ricciardo, I'm not surprised in practice, he's actually won the first practice session. Definitely Max Verstappen will also come in there. But I still think that Vettel has to make a statement. Vettel was in the race, you know, he started from pole position, he needed to win. Now he finds himself 17 points behind Lewis Hamilton. This is a race he has to go in there and win. And the last time we were in Hungary, he won that race in 2017. We've all seen Lewis Hamilton, you know, perform well in Hungary, but he's won most of his races with McLaren, not Mercedes. And so this is where it gets really tricky for him. I don't see Ferrari winning this, but I think it's going to be a battle between, you know, Red Bull and Mercedes. Red Bull, Mercedes will go head to head. I still think that Ferrari have gone off the pace a bit, but they can still put a surprise.
I have to agree, it's been an absolutely topsy-turvy, you know, Formula One season, and for those who are betting alongside, they've had a lot of headaches right now, because you're not just too sure what's going to be happening, and we're talking about partners. Ricciardo and Verstappen probably will be hoping that they can go through this. I was just looking at my time. There's more talk to come on Formula One next week, I promise you that. Thank you very much, Raymond, for joining me on the show, and a big thank you to everybody. Of course, we're warming up for the final Grand Slam of the year. The US Open stares us in the face, and all the tennis players are getting themselves ready. That's it for the Locker Room on Joy 99.7 FM. Handing over to Enes Kojo Menu, who's a Barcelona fan, and they are taking people's players when they have already, you know, how can you do that? The lady has agreed to marry a man, you know, by word of mouth, and you go there and pay money and take the lady away. Malcolm, really?
What's your worth? That's the question.
What's your worth? What have you got in the news?
So coming up in the news are two president, vice president announced